tools that we're going to be using to get the job done. First, starting off with our oil, we're going to be using 10W40. That's what it says in the manual, so that's what we're going to be using. And it's going to be, of course, always use motorcycle specific oil, not car motor oil. Next thing, our filter that we're going to use is a K&N 138. It's actually the same size oil filter as the Hayabusa, so it should be easy to find. To get the current filter off, we actually already have a K&N filter on there, so we can use a 17 mil box end wrench, or you can use a oil filter removal tool, whatever you like, to make your job easier. Some people torque down these oil filters, so you gotta have the tools to get it off easy. For the actual drain bolts, we're gonna be just using a standard ratchet with a 17 millimeter socket, so make sure you have that. Also, you're gonna need a torque wrench to torque back down the bolts. And I'm actually not sure if the bolts there are magnetic, so I picked up a pair of magnetic drain plugs. Strongly recommend you pick these up. They're very good to catch any metal shavings that are going around inside of the engine if you're having problems with it. So I definitely recommend you pick up that. And of course, gloves and some rags to keep the oil off of the floor and also off of our hands. So these are the tools. Oh, and also forgot, get an oil drain pan. Get an oil drain pan. All right, let's get to the bike. Oh, this is gonna be a little tricky. So I'm gonna show you where the bolts are first. We're on the right side of the bike. We're gonna go right underneath. And you'll see bolt number 1 right there. That's the first bolt that you need to remove. And then if you come down, there's the second one. Honestly, it doesn't matter what order you remove them in. You just want to get rid of them. So we're gonna go ahead and loosen up the bolts and go from there. And that's the other one. So there's number 1 done. We'll let that drain out a little bit, and then we'll go to the one on the front. And that's number 2. Second drain bolts out. All right, so we'll let this drain for about 15 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll put in the fresh bolts. And while we're waiting, we'll check and see what these bolts look like under the light. So I got my 2 drain bolts here. While we're letting the oil drain out, let's take a look and see what's happening with these bolts. Now, I'm definitely glad I got new oil drain bolts because if you look at this one really close, you can see that the actual magnet is starting to come out, or that little ring there, the little seal rather. You notice that the seal is actually starting to come apart. So I don't know how long that would have held the oil, but we definitely want to get that replaced. And I definitely noticed not a lot on this one. This is the drain bolt that was toward the rear of the bike. It's got a few shavings on there. So there was some grinding or something like that going on. Not a lot, but definitely glad to see this so that way I'll know what to expect in the future. So we're gonna go ahead and put on our new drain bolts and get them all ready to go for the bike. Nice thing about these Outlaw Racing oil drain plugs is that they do already have a hole here for you, so that way you can have this safety wired, which I know is required on some racetracks. But also too, if you look, you can see the length of that actual bolt there is much longer, so you get a lot more meat to grab on. And for those guys who are looking to buy these from Outlaw and not sure if they match, I put the threads right up against each other, and you can see that those threads do match. So I think we got a good match right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw these new guys into the bike, and it should be a lot better than what we had stock. Oil's draining out, and what we're gonna do is stick in our 2 brand new bolts, and we're gonna make sure that we tighten down these bolts to 16.25 foot-pounds. Make sure you don't forget that. That's it. Now let's tackle the oil filter. I thought I could probably use my box end wrench to get underneath the bike and take off the oil filter without removing the fairings. The bolt is right there, but as you can see, with my bike being lowered, this is the hard way. So I can't quite clear my wrench to the ground there. So I'm gonna probably take off a couple of fairing pieces real quick just to open this area up so we can get access to the filter. Can muscle it off. Almost there, actually. Oh, it's starting to break. Oh, okay. There it is. There's the oil. There it goes. Oh man, I swear. Hardest oil filter to get off has got to be this one. Never lower your bike. Never lower your bike, I'm telling you. I had this bike, it was already lowered, but man, I was scared I wasn't going to get it off. Fun part is going to be trying to get it back on again. Well, that's the oil filter. My right arm is, yeah, very strong now. Okay, so now that this filter's got a chance to drain, we're gonna pull it out and we're gonna install a fresh one. And we're gonna take a little bit of the oil, of course, on our fingers. That's too much. Dab a little bit of it around the ring, around the tip, and we're gonna apply the new filter back here. Let's move that so I don't drop any oil on it. Usually the last thing that I do, now that we got the 2 bolts torqued down, we got the filter put back in, is I kind of wipe down underneath the engine just to make sure that when you do fire it up, we don't get that nasty burning oil smell. I hate that. So if you wipe it down a little bit, this will save you from having to deal with that. It doesn't take long. Just kind of clean up a little bit. All right guys, next step, let's get the dipstick out from the engine. It's pretty much empty. We'll set that to the side and we'll start filling up with some fresh oil. Alright guys, remember if you liked what you saw in this video, make sure you leave a thumbs up. Definitely appreciate it. Again, hopefully this will help you guys to change your oil in your bike. And again, as always, this is 602 Busa. See you on the next one.